Merry Christmas! We have a nice show for you tonight. Welcome into My State of Mind. I am Dan Yorke, and I wish you a very, very Merry Christmas and, of course, a Happy New Year, but we'll get to that. No rundown this evening. Listen, I just can't tackle the issues a day before Christmas. Interesting conversation we had with Bishop Tobin last night regarding, the peacefulness and his wish for a peacefulness and serenity, over the community during this week. And I hope that you're able to grasp that. Even as we put our television show together tonight, it just, we're running and we're producing and we're going and we're, just having to get to places and last minute this or that. It's time to kind of calm it down. So if you're catching the show tonight, maybe you're coming back from Mass or you're headed to it or service or whatever it happens to be, take a deep breath. Remember what the holy day is actually all about. And think back to some of the stuff that you used to do in the old days, and maybe you can even do it again, tomorrow with the family. Tonight we have a story of some high school children, high school teenagers, kids, who were doing it the old-fashioned way, and it didn't necessarily come out exactly the way they wanted. But in the end, the Christmas spirit is with them, and you get a chance to receive their artistic abilities here as we play some really cool Christmas music. So, when we come back, the story of the carolers in Wickford. Stay with us.
Here we go, laughing all the way, bells on bobtails ring.
Merry Christmas, back here, and we are, an original program for Christmas Eve. We got a lot of things planned for the holidays, some programs that we have, as I told you, some programs that we've pre-recorded and stuff that's going to be kind of new and exciting for you over the course of the holidays. And we'll be back for some live original programming on January 2nd and start the year 2014. But, it's nice on Christmas Eve just to remember an old-fashioned tradition, which is caroling. And we were able to grab the very, very talented group from the Hyde Studio in Wickford. This is, it's the Maria Day Hyde Studio, or the Day Studio. It's all of those. I'll clarify with my guest as soon as I play these kids. Let's listen to them. We recorded this last week. It's beautiful.
Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Peace on earth and mercy mild, God and sinners reconciled. Joyful all ye nations rise, join the triumph of the skies. With angelic hosts proclaim, Christ is born in Bethlehem. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King.
Isn't that nice? Maria Day Hyde, who owns and operates the Day Studio, is here. Those are your students.
They're my students. They are. And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Thanks for bringing them. Caroling is such a, it's a lost cultural art in a lot of ways.
It is. But it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Christmas music is a great way to teach students because they're familiar with the music.
Yeah.
So if they know the tune, then executing it, whether they're a singer or an instrumentalist, they advance a little bit better. And every year, my studio, we have a Christmas caroling workshop, and we meet for a couple of weeks. We rehearse for an hour, we learn some parts, and then we go to our local village, and we go door to door, and we Christmas carol.
Tell me about your studio before we get it. There's a little bit of a story this year when it comes to the caroling, which may be reflective of some of the stuff we've been talking about both on television and radio in terms of some of the lost Christmas. But we'll finish on an upbeat note, I promise you. But tell me about what you do at the studio. You're very involved with theater and music and all that.
Right. So I teach privately. I teach private lessons in my home. I started doing it when I had my third child because I wanted to be home after school. And I teach beginner band instruments, mainly piano, voice, and I'm a theater coach. I teach at URI Theater. And a lot of these kids are involved with theater with their high school. Mm-hmm. So I think that's why this year I have a lot of teenagers, and they're interested in theater, so they're working on voice, and so it made up for a great group for carolers.
Yeah. What's teaching theater like for teenagers these days?
It's interesting. For musical theater, basically, they learn their song, like an audition song. And I have a lot of students who are pursuing theater. I have some seniors who have done some, are doing auditions for college. And they learn their song, and then we talk about why they're singing the song and how they should act out the song, and physicality, because a teenager's physicality is awkward, you know. So we do some acting lessons, we do some exercises to loosen them up, you know, some focus things.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I think theater, a lot of people roll their eyes at the idea of theater in an educational environment, but the kids today who are less and less interactive, who are totally technologically engaged, who are less apt to say, hey, Mr. Yorke, how are you doing in the neighborhood? I think once you put kids in a theatrical environment, it cuts away some of the
social awkwardness.
All of that, right?
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, tell me about that. I think they all ought to have some experience in getting out of themselves a little bit.
And theater's a perfect opportunity to do that. And because of these particular kids who are involved with their school plays, and they're more extroverted, you know, as you can see, you know, they wanted to come out and carol. But I think you're right. I think it should be required for everyone to be involved with theater arts.
Public speaking, they're very nervous in front of groups, not all of them, but in general, I think we've lost, it was funny, I was in the store the other day with my wife, and there was a young lady who we know from the neighborhood who was behind us checking out. And I looked over my shoulder and I noticed her, and she put her head down, and I went, hi, and she left. And I said to my wife, I said, you know, I never remember as a teenager not engaging adults who I know. In fact, I used to go out of my way. Hey, Mr. Jones. Hey, Mr. Smith. Hey, Mrs. Jones. You know, how you doing? Da da da. What's going on? And I don't think that was unique to my personality. I think it was unique to the day. I mean, and these kids are just I think they're struggling with communication and...
Well, social networking, Dan.
All that.
You know, they communicate with their thumbs, texting to each other.
Right.
Or emailing
while they're in the
to each
car
other.
with each other.
Unfortunately, I hope not too often.
Well,
you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
One day I'm driving, this is years ago, I'm driving, and there's my daughter and her two friends are in the back seat, and they're not speaking to each other, but they're all like this. And I said, don't you guys talk to each other? And the answer was, we are.
To each other.
What
through
up with
texting.
that?
I know.
So, I mean, that's one of the things that you're challenged with. But once you break them of that, right, they get back to being normal kids. I mean,
well, I hope so.
Yeah.
You know, but what's normal? I mean, you know, my kids are teenagers, and they didn't always have cell phones and weren't always texting. And we're a theater-oriented family. We all work in theater, technical theater, on stage, off stage. So my kids are pretty extroverted, amiable, look somebody in the eye when they greet them, you know.
Which stands out these days.
It does.
And will go a long way for them.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. My son wants to pursue engineering. He's not quite nerdy enough to be a great engineer, but he's very charismatic, so I think he'll succeed in the field.
Yeah, cool stuff.
You know?
We'll play a little bit more Christmas music from this great little choral group that the Day Studio threw together for us, in a way. But when we come back, there's a story of, this caroling thing just ain't what it used to be. We'll tell you why when we come back. Stay with us.
Joy to the world, the Lord has come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him room. And heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing. Joy to the world, the Savior reigns. Let men with songs employ. While fields and floods, rocks, hills, and plains repeat the sounding joy. open sleigh. O'er the fields we go, laughing all the way. Bells on bobtails ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
You know what I love. That is the Day Studio students. Maria Day Hyde is here, and she runs a studio in Wickford. You know what it's one thing to just kind of fawn over the little ones. I like it when the teenagers show up and have this little spirit. You know, it renews my faith in the next generation. You know, I didn't ever think I was going to be old enough to talk about the youth today, but I am old enough to talk about the youth today, and it's nice to see them engaged and smiling and active and embracing the holidays and doing something cool and different. So good for you for having them sing. But you got a little story.
I do.
We got a little story. You know, this caroling thing, I guess, for society ain't what it used to be. What happened?
Well, we went down into our local village to do our caroling.
In Wickford?
In Wickford.
Yeah.
Wickford. And traditionally what we do is we go into a store, we walk in singing to the store, sing one song, and then wish them a Merry Christmas. And we went to about 6 places, and we were not received well at all. At all. Nobody was hostile. Nobody was necessarily unfriendly. But it was so socially awkward, Dan. It was so socially awkward. In years past, people would come out from behind the counters, customers would stop, sing along with us.
Right, sure.
You know, and then we'd leave, and it was touching, and it was very Charles Dickens. This year, not so much. So we went into a store, and we were ignored. And we'd leave the store, and the kids now are saying, are we not good, or is it us, or we go into the next store. And it was awkward for the people behind the counter. Now, the employees might have been young, but there were a lot of adults too. So I wrote a post on Facebook that night, and I said, I'm so disappointed in the adults of this community setting that kind of an example, because these kids walked away feeling like they had not achieved the spirit that they wanted to achieve for, you know, with caroling.
You felt like they were 0 for 6? Like with each place that you stopped into, it just was a dud?
Yeah, yeah. There was one store that as we were walking by and singing randomly, because we stopped going into stores after about the 6th one, there was one store that opened their doors and
really,
said,
after the 3rd one, you go, come on, you guys, come on, one more time, right? That kind of thing?
Exactly.
So were you just going down through the village, the stores that you've always gone into?
Yeah, yeah. We'd skip one, or we'd sing in front of the, the drugstore, or, we'd go into the little shops. But yeah, yeah. So, but this one store owner opened the door and said, come in, get out of the cold. It was freezing that night too, which made it even more oppressive for the kids, and we went into that store and we sang, and they stood around us and they listened, and that was what we were trying to achieve. It's a community service that we're providing, and we just wanted to bring a little, it was free. But you know what else I noticed? The town wasn't busy. I think retail's really suffering, especially with internet. We talked about technology. I think
well, small business is suffering.
Yeah.
Box store, I hope that this Target controversy with the credit cards and everything else and the breach of security gives some people some pause about where they spend their money.
Sure.
It's not all just about racing into the big box store. Local businesses are really still, should be at least, the heart of our economy. And maybe they were just having a hard time. It was a tough week. Who knows?
And that's what I assumed.
Yeah.
But every store we went into, I mean, it was so sad. And I felt sad because I've been doing this for years.
So body language was just kind of like,
almost,
like, come on, like, let's go, like, wrap it up type of thing.
Right, yeah.
Like, excuse me, pardon me, like getting stuff done while they're singing type of thing.
Yeah, we had one woman who was smiling at us but couldn't look at us, couldn't make eye contact.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
So after you posted on Facebook, what happened?
Well, a lot of people were responding saying, oh, that's so sad. Oh, that makes me so sad to hear that. And some shop owners had asked me, said that it was making Wickford look really bad. So they asked me to, and these are friends, you know, these are friends. We didn't go to their stores that night, but one had asked me to take the post down, and I said, yeah, sure, I'll take it down. But when I took it down, I said, okay, I'm taking this post down, but I still want to address the issue without naming any names, which I have done today. And I still got a lot of response that how disappointed people were for the kids, that caroling didn't create the joy it should have. It was pretty interesting. It was pretty interesting.
I know if I was, you know, hanging around the shops in Whitford or anywhere else, generally trailing my wife, you know, or my daughter, which is a typical scene in the Yorke family, and, you know, 8 or 10 teenagers came by singing, I would think that was just the highlight of the day. You know,
getting teenagers to come out and sing in public,
it would just be
huge. And in parks too.
It can change. Just that little moment in time can change everybody's feeling about the whole holiday.
Yeah.
It's too bad. But I don't know. It's a different time. We've talked, you know, on the radio and on the television about the culture of Christmas. Less people are going to church for Christmas. I don't know.
Yeah, and the commercialism of Christmas.
We're a little stressed, I think.
I think so too.
Well, you got to keep battling. Maybe next year it'll be a whole lot better. I have a funny feeling it will be, based on you kind of setting the scene. You're going to do it again, aren't you?
We will. We will.
Is that tentative?
But yeah, you know, I was thinking we've done nursing homes too, and I was thinking maybe I'll take a year off and go back to Robert's Healthcare Center or something. And
well, the folks in the nursing homes always love it.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. And I'm losing a lot of these kids because they're seniors. Yeah. You know, so it might be the little ones again. And organizing this is crazy. No, okay, I just made up my mind. I'll do it again.
Yes, you will.
I will.
In fact, you know what? Maybe we'll, now that I've learned this story for next holiday season, maybe we'll give you a little boost ahead of the time. You know,
there you go.
A little pre-sale. They're coming.
They're
coming to your community. When we come back, a Silent Night rendition from the Day Studio singers who should have been better received for Christmas. And we wish Maria happy Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
All right, we'll be right back. Stay with us.
Round yon virgin mother and child.
Welcome back. But that's kind of tough, huh? You know what? We got to lighten up a little bit. It's Christmas, for crying out loud. And by the way, you gotta feed back to kids. If they bring energy, you gotta bring it back to them, for heaven's sake. You know, they remember things like going from store to store, not necessarily being, you know, high five for their Christmas caroling. Anyway, your state of mind is important here. As we wrap up the fall season of Dan Yorke's State of Mind, it's important, again, to have your feedback. 228-1886 is the number to leave a voicemail. stateofmind@myritv.com is the email. Of course, you can tweet and Facebook post at Dan Yorke Show, YORKE. Okay. A couple of things, just a couple of program notes. We have pre-recorded programs between now and January 2nd. And there's all sorts of cool things on tap. In fact, Jess, what do we got for tomorrow night? What is the Christmas show that we're running for tomorrow night?
Roberta Mudge Humble.
Well, Roberta Mudge Humble. Yes, Roberta Mudge Humble, who has all the Rhode Island trivia and the Rhode Island history, and she's got all those books about Rhode Island. We had a very, very fun time recording the show for Christmas Day. It's really all about Rhode Island trivia, and you can learn how to maybe grab a late-minute post-Christmas, because you got all those gift-giving, you know, Christmas is a season, right? And you got the other family you got to get a quick thing for. You might have some good gift ideas that'll come along with tomorrow night's show, and a whole bunch more. So we'll wrap up our broadcast this evening, wishing you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we'll see you in the new year with original broadcasts, including the rundown and tackling the issues and all that kind of thing, but plenty of original programming between now and then. All right? Remember, this is Christmas. This is about the Christ child, and it is about that silent night.